I was talking earlier about the Invictus Games on the back of the trailer being released for Prince Harry's new Netflix doco. Let's take a look at a bit more of it.
It is here at the Invictus Games that you realise, whatever you carry, it was the springboard that propelled you to the next level. The Games doesn't focus on what causes the injury, but really about the recovery and how to be part of a community again.
Now let's bring in a British commentator and fellow woman in neon, Esther Krakue. Fabulous to have you with us. Look, are you looking forward to the next doco and the Games?
Yes, the Royals go Hollywood, although I'm sure Harry and Meghan have already broken that trend once before, if you can remember. The Invictus Games is starting in a few weeks and is starting off in Düsseldorf in Germany. So the Prince is going to be flying over to be overseeing the ceremonies and the sporting events and all of that. And, Meghan is actually going to be there at the beginning of the opening speech and the closing ceremony. So she's not going to be there for the entirety of it. But this is something that Prince Harry pioneered back in 2014 when he was still an active working member of the royal family. And it was for veterans of war to get involved in sport and as a way of bringing them and tying them into its communities. Now, obviously, it was a very popular initiative when it was first launched. I don't know if you remember that video of him and the Obamas and the Queen with their mic drop. But, it was very much a viral moment here and around the world. So it was something that we knew that was something very near and dear to his heart. And after leaving the royal family, he still tried to keep it up. The question is whether it has the same gravitas and whether people still warm to him in the same way. It's still a fantastic initiative. But he talks about duty and a sense of community and all of that. And his actions in the last few years make people think that he's not as serious about those words as he seems. But I do hope it goes well for him. It's around the time of the Queen's, the first anniversary of the Queen's funeral. So questions are still open as to whether he is going to come to the UK and, commemorate that with his family. Apparently, the royal family hasn't reached out, and they've made it very clear that it's probably going to be a closed family event. But we don't know. Things could change. He did come for the King's coronation after all. But so far, that's what we know about the Invictus Games and Prince Harry flying over.
And what do you think the reaction will be in the UK with him travelling back to Europe?
I think so far as he doesn't step foot in the UK, I think most people will not be bothered, to put it bluntly. I think there will be obviously some disappointment around the fact that he's not coming for the Queen's one-year anniversary of her funeral. That's really going to be a very sad moment. But it's very clear that the sort of rift between the Sussexes and the royal family is well and truly done. And I really don't see an easy way back. But most people are just getting on with their lives. They're not really that bothered about the Sussexes. They're expecting some sort of, Netflix documentary or some sort of a further foray into the world of Hollywood and of production and, of charity work. But that's really the extent to which people are interested in anything that the Sussexes have to do.
Now, you did mention that Meghan was only going to go for the closing ceremony and not the whole event. Do we know why that is?
So we're not sure why. I'm speculating that it has maybe something to do with childcare, but there have been reports over the last few weeks that Meghan is really trying to distance herself from the image of Harry and Meghan and try and, carve her own path and her own image. We're not too sure about that. She is set to release a few books as part of the multi-book deal that Harry and Meghan signed. But, we're not sure about that. They've been very, very hush-hush. The rumours that we've been hearing is that they're trying to really consolidate all the progress that they've made over the last few years and really create projects that will last or stand the test of time, really. After they lost the Spotify deal, everyone was assuming that, the Hollywood shine was sort of waning and then they were seen as a bad investment. So I'm sure they're focusing on strategizing and trying to create content and, to create initiatives that will actually stick this time, that probably have a bit more longevity. That's all we know from their camp, but we don't actually know the specifics as to why Meghan is not going to be there for the entirety of the Invictus Games.